Hi, my name is Priya Kumar and my 8th book, The Calling, Unleash Your True Self, has just been released. And the main character of the book, his name is Arjun. So his life is so infested with problems. I mean, it's almost as if problems have surrounded him from all sides and he just needs a break. So he goes into the Himalayas in an attempt to solve them, to be aware of them, to deal with them. And that's the story of the whole book. It's a spiritual adventure. And I get this question via emails and messages and even on one-on-one chats where people tell me their problems, that this is what concerns me, this is what is bothering me, or this is what surrounds me. And sometimes when people are telling you their problems, you can see it's not that big. You can see the solution and you're also compelled to offer them a suggestion. But has it ever happened with you that somebody has told you their problems and made it so big that while you give them a solution or advice, it's not real to them? And they say, yeah, but, and then they continue with, even more angles of the problem. And then when you give them a little more advice, then they give you some more, viewpoints on the problem that at one point you're thinking, does he even want to solve it? And that is the point I want to take up today, is how do you solve a problem? You see, the problem with the problem is that people make it so big, they talk so much about it to so many people, or they talk so much about it to one person that in their own heads they have blown it up so big. You see, there used to be this saying that you tell a lie 100 times and it becomes the truth, and sometimes people have discussed the problem over 100 times that it's become that truth, unsolvable truth. So my first thing to people who have a problem, no matter what, whether your boss is unhappy with you, whether your mother-in-law is unhappy with you, whatever your problem is, your first question to yourself should be, how can I make myself useful in this moment? Let the problem be, park it on the side and ask yourself, how can I make myself useful in this moment? How can I be productive in this moment? Even if it is, let me just cook. Does that make you feel useful or productive? Great, do it. Even if it is, let me go to sleep. Half the problems are aggravated because people are on lack of sleep. The problem has not let them sleep for weeks or days or, months, if it has been so big that the person is so irritable and cannot see the solution. So maybe what you need immediately, as of right now, is not to talk about it, but to get some sleep. Maybe you need to go take a walk. Have some time out. If you won't have time out, how will you think of a solution? Instead of talking to your friend about it, instead of talking to me about it, perhaps take time out and go for a walk. And when you do that, maybe your head will clear a bit. Maybe your attention will go elsewhere than the problem. Maybe sleep will make you wake up fresh. Maybe indulging in a little cooking or, whatever it is that makes you feel useful and productive, do it. If your boss is unhappy with you, what can you do now? You can't do anything about him. Maybe making 10 phone calls to potential clients, maybe clearing your inbox, maybe organizing your desk would make you feel a little bit more useful and productive, and therefore you could see the problem for what it is, not for what it has made you feel. So it's a great idea to be useful and productive. Sometimes people dig themselves under the problem. The problem keeps becoming bigger and they are under it. They're not yet solving it. My viewpoint is that you go on this parallel journey. What can I do now? What can I do about this situation in the moment that would make me feel better about myself? Not necessarily that you're solving the problem. See, a person who feels good about himself, a person who's confident, a person who has higher self-esteem has higher chances of solving the problem than a person who's whining, who feels lost, who feels depressed, and so on. So make yourself productive, make yourself useful, and maybe the problem will still exist, but you would have become bigger than it. Maybe you would have risen so high that you say, hey, this wasn't even important. Maybe I was just cooking things in my head. Or maybe that you have risen here to a sense of peace or, a sense of performance, that by virtue of you rising, the problem dissolve. It could be, and it also could be that the problem is really out of your control. But how would you know the difference unless you rise? How will you know the difference unless you move up a little bit? And if the problem is really out of control, please don't go discussing with a dozen people. It's best then to hire an expert, to hire a consultant, to hire a coach who will help you solve it. Well, you see, if your tooth is hurting, how is it going to help you to complain about it? How is it going to help you by discussing it on a daily basis? The correct handling or the correct solution is that you go to a dentist. You see, if your tire is flat, it's no point, making phone calls and saying how miserable your life is. Just go to a mechanic, get an expert, get a consultant. And I know this for a fact, and you know this, and it's the truth of life, that where there is life, there will be problems. They are going to be a constant. So why not gear yourself up, prepare yourself to be a problem solver? They will come. If you're moving forward, problems will come. Why complain? Better prepare yourself, better be equipped on how to handle problems. You see, the Eskimo who's living, in the Antarctic region, it's no point him saying it's so cold, it's snowing, look at the temperatures. It is going to be. It is best that he builds an igloo. It is best that he gets warm clothing. It is best that he goes and makes arrangement for his food, because that is going to be a constant. If you're alive, if you're moving ahead toward your goals and your dreams, there will be problems plentiful. So might as well be, ready for them, welcome them. What do you do? Ensure when you are dug down deep, ensure that you have slept well. So your mind is working. Take some time out, go for a walk, go for a drive, whatever works for you, and make yourself useful and productive. And if that fails, go get an expert and a coach. But please don't, for God's sake, make your problem your truth by making it so big. I hope this helps. And of course, you can be entertained by that story. Maybe, you could find a connect somewhere, because The Calling is an amazing story. It's from struggles to overcoming to victory, which I think is every common man's journey. I hope you enjoy reading the book, and I hope you enjoyed this video.